Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Spiritual Transformer. Today, I just today I just want to talk. Don't really have a script prepared or anything like that. Just mostly shooting off the cuff today on just any old topic, really. So today, I kind of was thinking about how the world is kind of unfair, isn't it? I mean, not trying to gripe here or anything, but you've got people who are, I don't know, living at the, I won't say the bottom, but it certainly does feel like it. I mean, you've got people who live on battlefields, really, in war zones, and then you've got people living in relative peace, and you've got people who are born with a silver spoon in their mouth, and then you've got people who don't. They might live in abject poverty or whatever, and it's somewhat of a mystery, isn't it? But so that kind of got me thinking because a lot of spiritual teachings they confirm that incarnation is real, as in reincarnation, incarnation, and that we are all soul beings. We are infinite soul beings who choose to focus as human beings, incarnate into human beings at this time on this planet we call Earth. And as part of that incarnation process, the teachers tell us that we choose our circumstances. So, yeah, we choose our parents, we choose where we're born, probably when we're born, what kind of situations we're born into, and away we go. And we start focusing into our human selves. And as we are born, as we grow up from babies, we kind of forget about all that. Very few people on Earth actually remember any of that stuff that happened before they incarnated on Earth. And I'm not one of them. I forgot everything. I have no idea until I relearned this stuff through my study of spirituality. So, yeah, if we wonder why some people are born into this situation or that situation, whether they're at peace or at war, whether they're born with poverty or with wealth, well, this is why we choose. As our soul beings, we choose, and then we come into our human form, human bodies with what we choose. And well, that begs the question: why would anybody choose to live the really, really hard life, the kind of life that has you focus on survival? And I'm just gonna take a wild stab here because I think the reason why some people choose such high extreme difficulties when incarnating on Earth is the exact same reason why people choose to play Dark Souls, really. So yeah, I'm a big video gamer, and for those who don't know, Dark Souls is a series of video game known for their forbidding difficulty levels, and they are also immensely popular. So popular that they have their own genre called Souls likes, and they're all forbiddingly hard games, and not everybody's into them, but a lot of people are into them because just they like the challenge. So I have a sneaking suspicion that some of those folks, maybe the reason why some people choose to incarnate in Earth in very, very dense, very, very tough lives, are choosing to play the Earth version of Dark Souls. And then, of course, there's a question of why we would do that. And again, it's exactly the same. Why would anybody play Dark Souls? Well, I'm not exactly one of those people. I played the series. I played Elden Ring specifically, and I enjoyed it as much as I can, but I never beat it. But I had a taste of it. And if you ask most folks why they choose to play such hard video games, they would say because it's fun. And also because it's the reward of progression the reward of beating a strong enemy in a video game gets them going. And I can't shake the feeling that maybe that's why some people incarnate on this earth. They choose to incarnate on this earth in very dense, very difficult circumstances. There is this, I guess, a spiritual idea that backs this up. So this is going to be tough for me to explain. But when life really crushes you, when life really crushes us, really forces us to the rock bottom. And this is difficult for me to say because I've never really hit rock bottom myself. So this is all just kind of anecdotal. And sometimes the circumstances people are born in are so bad and they just bottom out. They hit rock bottom. They lose everything and they hit rock bottom. And at that point, they learn the art of letting go. They say, well, I've hit rock bottom. That's it. Whatever. You can only get better from here. And they surrender. They surrender in such a sense that they surrender their control. They no longer strive. They no longer fight because, hey, they're rock bottom, right? What are you going to fight against, really? Your strength is all gone. And that's when they make the most spiritual progress. At least that's what I've been taught. I've never experienced that myself. So for me, I can only intellectually think about it as sort of like a spring, right? Like if you're born in such heavy, difficult circumstances and you're getting crushed by life, you're getting compressed. So it's kind of like a spring, a kind of metal spring that, boing, boing, right? You crush it, it springs up. So if life really, really crushes you and you hit rock bottom and you've got nowhere to go but up, well, then you kind of just let go. And all of a sudden, all this pressure just releases and you fly really high, spiritually speaking. And I think that's why some souls decide to come to this earth in such a challenging circumstances so they can experience that type of spiritual growth. And that's why we see people who are fulfilling some very difficult roles right now. They're fulfilling roles where they get hurt. They're fulfilling roles where they get crushed. They're fulfilling roles where I guess some other people might not want to be fulfilling. Really courageous folks, I guess. And I think it's all because of that spiritual bounce, huge spiritual growth you can get once you're under that kind of compression, that kind of getting crushed, and there's a real good chance that you learn a big, huge lesson when you spring back up again from rock bottom. And some examples are, well, there are two really well-known figures in the spiritual world from the 1990s to early 2000s. One of them is Neale Donald Walsch. He's kind of a hero of mine because he wrote one of my favorite books, Conversations with God, a series of books. I love those books. And there's another person, Eckhart Tolle, who wrote The Power of Now, which I also read. Very influential stuff. Both of these books, especially the first one, was very influential to me, and the second book was The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. It was very influential to a lot of people. And they're well-known spiritual figures. But both Neale Donald Walsch and Eckhart Tolle spent times in their life as homeless people, right? Just bums on the street, really. They were homeless. And I think homelessness is something that people here in the West, where I live, absolutely do not want to experience. And that includes me, right? I don't think anybody would choose to experience homelessness if they didn't have to. But yet, these two mighty spiritual figures, Eckhart Tolle and Neale Donald Walsch, they experienced it. And because of that, they obtained spiritual growth. They write their own books, bestsellers. They learn love. They learn compassion. And look where they are now. Well-known figures. So, I guess what I'm really trying to say in this video is that if you see folks who are suffering, be compassionate, but I wouldn't exactly look down on them, because they could very well be the next spiritual teachers. They could very well be the next business leaders. They could very well be the next greatest inventors, maybe. And all they're doing is just spending some time deep down in the dark and dense places so that they can then they can learn the lessons and acquire the strengths so that they can become much more than that. At least that's my thinking anyway. And I kind of want to go back to the gaming analogy a little bit, because it's quite interesting. So, in video games, there's something called an MMORPG, and that stands for Massively Multiplayer Online Role-Playing Game. So maybe some of you are familiar. Final Fantasy XIV is one of them. World of Warcraft is another. Basically, it's just a whole bunch of people getting together to play the same game. That's really what it boils down to. And doesn't that sound a lot like Earth? A lot of soul beings, they incarnate into Earth as sort of like player characters, and they all play this whole Earth game together. It sounds a lot like an MMORPG to me, especially if you factor in the simulation theory. A lot of folks believe that the world we live in today, right here on Earth, is just one big, giant simulation. I won't go so far as to say that it's a game, because there doesn't seem to be rules. You know, when you play Final Fantasy XIV, there are certain rules. When you play World of Warcraft, there's certain rules, what you can and cannot do, but there doesn't seem to be that kind of stuff on Earth. It seems like we can just do about everything. So, not so much a game, I think, on Earth, but more of a simulation. But the whole parallel to the MMORPG is kind of fitting. A whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of soul beings incarnate here on Earth just so we can play the Earth game, or the Earth simulation, rather. Except in an MMORPG like Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft, we all play on the same difficulty level. It's been a long time since I played those games, but play them I did, and back then, everybody was playing on the same difficulty level. How far ahead you are, how masterful you are, is pretty much directly proportional to how much you invest in the game, because the rules are the same for everybody. The difficulty is the same for everybody. At least that's how I was when I played a game. And that's not how it's like on Earth, is it? It seems some people play on way harder difficulties on this life on Earth, and some people play in this simulation a difficulty that is less hard. And I think that's kind of what we see in this world today. It's kind of like an MMORPG where everybody selects their own difficulty level. Some people are playing on the same game as easy, and some people are playing on this game as really hard. Again, I really don't like to say it's a game, more of a simulation, but hey, if we're going down a video game analogy, I might as well just say it. So, yeah, very interesting, isn't it? And isn't that kind of why we see so many different varieties of people playing the same game here in so many different varieties of ways? There really are no rules. And, okay, well, this rant is getting a little long. All I gotta say is, let's wrap it up. There really is no judgment. I think that's what it boils down to. It's just a bunch of people playing a game. Some people are playing hard, some people are playing easy, and there's really no judgment. People are just playing the game the way they want to play. We're more similar than we are different. And whenever I see someone who maybe look like they have it all, or maybe I see someone who's lost it all, I think maybe there's more than meets the eye here. And I'm not so much envious of the people at the top, nor am I really feeling so sorry for the people at the bottom. It's almost like it's just, everybody has their own roles, everybody serves their own purpose, and I'm just trying to be objective about it, just trying to be neutral, just trying to be non-judgmental. I know it's a really different way of looking at the world than what we're used to, just seeing things, accepting them as they are. But that's what I've trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do for myself, trying to look at the world and go, it's kind of perfect the way it is. And that works if you think about it in the sense that folks choose their own difficulty level when they come down here, and there's different rewards for people who choose different difficulty levels, and that's why they choose it, for the rewards, whatever. So yeah, okay, this is getting really long. I think I'm gonna wrap it up. Like I said, I'm just gonna rant without really much of a script today. So that's it. So thank you for watching The Spiritual Transformer. My name is Randy Koo, and I will see you again next week. Bye bye.